Hey guys, how's it going? CoderMan here. In today's video, I want to introduce you to the newest vehicle of the channel. Although you may have seen in some videos, I actually want to formally introduce the 53 Chevy 3100. That's actually my wife's, but I'm working on it. So here we have a pretty much complete 53 Chevy 3100 half ton. And we ended up getting this about an hour away. I had it towed here, and it's kind of sat in different parts of our yard. But actually this past weekend we took it for a drive after I did the whole brake job on it, and by that I mean the brake lines. And it was treacherous to say the least, simply because it's a really old vehicle, the engine is tired, and we lost every single gear except third gear. So going up a hill, we had absolutely no power, and basically just prayed that it would make it to the top so that we didn't end up, essentially going back down the hill. So interior wise, she's pretty much as she would come from the factory in 53. The engine itself is actually a 54, but other than that, there's not much of a difference. There is a massive echo in here, as you can probably hear. The interior is pretty well stripped. We did not do any of this. However, it seems as though maybe someone else did, but it is complete. It has all the glass, and it has, obviously it has its roof. And one of the things that I wanted that my wife didn't really care about, but I was excited about, was it has the side windows, which refers to this as a 5-window. So the reason it's a 5-window is because you have your driver's and your passenger's windows, you have your rear window, and then they put these 2 side windows that actually gives you much better blind spot visibility. And honestly, it looks cool. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this vehicle, straight up, is that it is raw as it comes. Now, granted, I haven't driven the Mustang for obvious reasons. It doesn't have an engine. However, this here has no frills. In fact, it doesn't even have heat. It has no turn signals. It has no reverse lights. It does have brake lights, which is nice. And it has, of course, crank windows. So for my younger viewers, you're probably thinking, well, that's your windshield wipers, right? No, this is actually your shifter. So this is what is referred to as a 3 on the tree. As you can see, there is nothing down here to shift. And I got 3 pedals. So I have a manual truck. This is actually my shifter. So I apologize for the squeakiness. This thing is very tired. But this is your shifter. So you basically, if this was working properly, like I mentioned at the beginning, we have an issue with the transmission. So the shift pattern is kind of interesting in this. Basically, you have towards you and up is reverse, towards you and down is first, away and up is second, and away and down is third. This has no lockout, so you honestly could grab reverse while you were driving. Quite dangerous, in fact. And it doesn't have a tach, so you kind of just have to listen to the engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to start it up. And the reason I say try is because we've had some intermittent battery issues. And I figured let's just do it live, see if maybe you get to hear the engine or you get to see the gauges slightly change. Now, classic vehicles, again, for my younger audience, they're not like your modern ones where you basically just put the key in and you start it. There's a sequence. So first you turn the key, you pull out the choke, you pump the gas a couple times, maybe 3 times, and then you hit the starter, which is over here. And now I'm going to be talking a little bit louder because this thing is extremely loud. I'm sure it's probably too loud for my headphone viewers, so I apologize. But she started right up. I'm going to go ahead and let the choke out. It's about 40 degrees today, so it might conk out. Nope, actually started to run. So I'm gonna keep my foot on the clutch because I'm technically in third gear right now, but I'm gonna give it a little bit of gas to let you hear it. So for my EV fans, that don't make noise, and this makes all the noise. I love it. All right. So, then I'm gonna let the clutch out. So as you can tell, this thing is about as raw as it comes. Let me hop out and kind of explain our plans for it. So there you kind of have a first look at this truck, and now I kind of want to get into what our plans are with it and why I'm showing you it all. So this is actually something that my wife has wanted for quite some time, and because I got the Mustang, it kind of became a thing where she was like, well, I want to kind of have my truck too. And because I bought the Mustang the way that I did, it requires a ton of work. So I didn't want to get something that required a ton of work. So we ended up getting this, and all it needed was what we thought was a brake fluid flush. However, what it actually needed was new master cylinder, put a dual master so that we have redundancy on our braking. So a dual master cylinder basically just means that one side runs the front brakes and the other side runs the rear brakes. So if you have a failure or a leak or anything like that in the lines, you're not dead in the water with 100% brake failure. Also did all new nickel copper lines. If you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you do, you probably saw that I was messing with the tools to actually make them, and it was quite the process. However, I learned a lot, and thankfully I have some really smart friends that helped me through the process. So once everything was done, we were able to, we got it registered and everything, and we took it out for a drive. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it went quite, I would say, anxiety ridden, simply for the fact that it is, like I said, it's an old vehicle. When we were backing out, I actually lost reverse, so I ended up pushing it out of the driveway. In hindsight, probably should have parked it and figured out what was going wrong, but we decided, hey, let's drive it, let's have some fun. And anytime I would come to a stop, it would die, even with the clutch pressed in. So I was really confused what exactly was going on. And essentially what happened was we ended up losing basically everything but third gear. So it was extremely hard to get going. And then the reason the truck died when we stopped every single time, even though the clutch was depressed, was actually because of the throttle screw on the carburetor. So what ended up happening is the idle screw. So it's basically if there's no gas pressed, what exactly is the engine doing? It kind of like leaves a little bit so that the RPMs run up, and it had completely backed itself off. So clearly that needs to be repaired as well. The transmission now needs to be repaired. And it kind of got me thinking, I'm now going to be working on two vehicles. However, if I get off of the bed of this, that being the Mustang is much further from even the possibility of seeing it drive. So I'm kind of torn. Where do I continue to work on this, which, like I said, it is pretty much ready to go. It only needs some transmission work and possibly just some linkages. And everything else is good because I already fixed the idle screw. I don't have all the time in the world to work on everything. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is get this running driving. My wife has tons of plans for what she wants to modernize this, wants to keep the classic look, but have some really cool ideas. So, not gonna steal her thunder, or kind of maybe let her explain it if she comes onto the channel, or as time goes on, I'll explain it. But yeah, just wanted to kind of show you guys this truck and just kind of keep with the, vehicle theme. I do, believe it or not, still have the Lightning. Actually needs to be charged right now, believe it or not. And then I have the shell of the Mustang, which the next video, I know I keep teasing it, but I've already created it. It just needs to be released. Next week's video will actually be how far gone that project is and why I haven't jumped into it just yet. So again, welcome the newest addition to the channel, if you will, as cheesy as that sounds. As always, appreciate you guys' support. We're really close to 5,000 subscribers, which I absolutely just am so thrilled about. I remember when I was like 1,000 was the goal. So as always, appreciate the support. Please like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you have any questions on this, please leave a comment, because I'm sure my wife would love to answer it. If not, I can as well.